And the bright young stars. Plan your trip to Nashville and the Grand Ole Opry. Call or write today and order your tickets well in advance. Write Grand Ole Opry Ticket Office, 2808 Opryland Drive, Nashville, Tennessee, 37214. Or call 615-889-3060.
American Sports Cavalcade is brought to you by Ram Tough Dodge Trucks. At Dodge, we don't just talk tough, we prove it. And by Old Milwaukee Beer and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this.
Diamond D Sports presents the American Sports Cavalcade. With your host, the Tennessee Cowboy, Ed Bruce, and Brock Yates, and Steve Evans. The American Sports Cavalcade.
Welcome to the Devil's Bowl. Devil's Bowl Speedway here in Mesquite, Texas, just outside of Dallas. You know, a place named Devil's Bowl is just where you might expect to find a bunch of outlaws hanging around. And that's just what we've got for you today. Outlaws. World of Outlaws sprint car racing. I'm Ed Bruce, and as you can see, the World of Outlaws brand of racing is wide open, unpredictable, a whole lot fast, and a little bit crazy. And that adds up to an exciting day of competition. And to round up these particular outlaws, I've rounded up a pretty good posse. Brock Yates and Steve Evans. They're over at the track now getting ready to call the action, so let's go to them and see what their thoughts are on today's racing.
Thank you, Ed. The heavy equipment is out putting the finishing touches here on the half mile at Devil's Bowl. Now, this track has a couple of particularly interesting facets to its personality. Number one, the front straightaway is 18 feet lower than the back straightaway, an elevation change of 18 feet, which means the drivers are going uphill into turn one and through turn two and charging downhill coming off of turn three and going down into turn four onto the front straightaway. Number two is the track surface itself. It's clay. Very, very sticky clay. And if it stays this sticky and wet, it's going to be a particularly challenging track physically. Sprint cars are designed to be tossed into those corners, to get a little loose. If they don't slide, well, just about anything can happen. And I talked to some of the top drivers about that challenge.
Well, they named it the right place because it's always different every time you come here. You know, the texture's different. We're starting to learn it after we've been here so many times, but it's definitely a guessing game more than most racetracks.
Yeah, before I ever came here, everybody was telling me about it, you know, and you can see it, but when you get out there, you really don't feel it that much. You can feel running uphill a little bit coming off of two, but you don't really feel like you're running downhill that much getting into three, but you do run up a little upgrade coming off of two.
Like if you gear your car to run from three into one, right and properly, you're going to bog the death out of your motor in one going down into three, from one into three. So you gotta, it's two different things. I guess it's kind of like running a road course. You gotta pick out the spot of the racetrack where you're going to be the fastest and gear around that whole situation so that you can be good, you know, around the whole racetrack.
So we've heard from some of the drivers. Now let's go to Brock Yates with a look at the equipment that has made the World of Outlaws the most popular dirt track racing in America.
Thanks, Steve. You know, you throw $2 million down on the table for a season's worth of racing, you got to know the Outlaws are going to show up locked and loaded. This time, though, they left their 45s home and brought this along. Iron that is a lot more powerful than any gun you're going to find. The classic American sprint car. Ready for some action here at Devil's Bowl on a really rough and tumble speedway, like you said. Looks real beautiful right now, but you got to wonder how she's going to look this afternoon when we get through with that clay out there.
Well, Brock, I'd like to have the 50-cent car wash concession up the road a piece because they're going to be a muddy mess on this track today. This is heat number one, 10 sprint cars. The top four will go to the main event.
And, Steve, we've got some big names in here, along with Jeff Swindell, Randy Wolf out of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, Brad Doty, another graduate of that tough Pennsylvania circuit, and Lee Osborne, a guy that comes in and out of World of Outlaws competition. He's an Indiana resident right now, started his racing in upstate New York, a solid competitor, builds and campaigns his own race cars. So they're coming down off that hill that the guys talked about on turn 3 and 4, and it looks like we might get ourselves a green here.
Indeed we will. Starter Charlie Lupi signals the first heat, and it's off and running with the green flag.
And look at that orange 81. Lee Osborne just cut underneath Norman Martin out of Garland, Texas, who was on the pole and took the lead. Well, Martin went way up in the loose stuff in turn 2, and that gave Jeff Swindell a chance to move up into second place, followed by Brad Doty. So all of a sudden, Steve, we got 3 of the hot shoes running 1, 2, 3 in this first heat.
To be expected, Brock, because in all the heat races we'll see today, they have inverted the first 2 rows from their qualifying times. So even though the white car, number 80, Jeff Swindell, was on the inside of the second row, he's really the quickest sprint car out there, according to the qualifying times, and he shows it right now.
Well, he's hooked up pretty good. He's going to take maybe a shot at the leader, Lee Osborne, in that orange 81, as they come down off the bank on the back straightaway and head down the front. And as Jeff Swindell lines up to take a shot at the lead, they're out of the throttle. We've got a spun car coming out of turn 2. That's Tom Sexton out of Crystal Lake, Illinois. And he's sideways in the middle of the racetrack. The yellow flag waves. So we're going to back it down here a little bit. Everybody's going to form up. They'll probably try to restart Sexton, I would reckon, Steve, and see if they can get him back underway again. But, of course, he falls way off the pace.
Well, he was way off the pace to begin with, Brock. He started on the outside of the very last row. Now, in the World of Outlaws competition, they do not count laps run under the yellow flag because these are very short races to begin with.
Well, Tom Sexton may be able to get a restart here before they throw the green again, but it's Lee Osborne right now, followed by Jeff Swindell, Brad Doty, and Norman Martin, who started on the pole. He's from just down the road in Garland, Texas. That, in fact, is the headquarters of the World of Outlaws, Steve Evans.
And what a success story that organization is, headed up by Ted Johnson. In just 6 short years, they've gone from $400,000 in a season to $2 million, Brock.
And that's why these guys are so serious, and that's why we've got such a terrific field of cars as we have here at Devil's Ball. The green is out, and once again, Lee Osborne just recaptures the lead, but Jeff Swindell right on his tail coming down the back straightaway.
Jeff Swindell, the 1981 Rookie of the Year. In fact, in every season he has been in the top 10 since he began outlaw competition.
The younger brother of former outlaw champion Sammy Swindell, as we watch those swing sprinters head up that little hill coming off of turn 2 and down the back straightaway. But Osborne seems to have enough power to just head off Jeff Swindell as they come down the front straightaway. And I would think that if everything stays together with Lee Osborne's car, he's going to be all right. But Jeff seems to have a little bit more torque coming up that hill and almost gets underneath Osborne down the back straightaway. But Osborne stretches it out coming down the hill and holds the lead on the front straight.
Well, as Doug Wolfgang told us, it's really like 2 racetracks. One is from turn 1 to 3, the other one from 3 back to 1, and you just guess right and take your pick. Which one are you going to run quickest in?
Notice, Steve, that we're starting to see some blue smoke come off those right rear tires. That means that this clay is starting to harden up just like asphalt, and we're going to see some tire wear here. This thing is going to get really hard and tough. Look at that. Swindell just nicked Osborne coming up 2 and lost a few lengths. It seems that he's got a little bit more torque going up the hill, but Osborne's better hooked up coming down off the hill, Steve.
Well, a second place finish is still mighty good for Jeff Swindell because the top 4 are going to go to the main event. And there again, Brock, was that tire smoke. The track is starting to dry out. We are on the last lap right now. The last chance for Jeff Swindell to try to win heat number 1.
Well, Lee Osborne just tucked it down inside to take the checkered flag, blocked off any chance that Jeff Swindell might have had for sneaking by on the inside on that final straightaway. And veteran Lee Osborne out of Jamestown, Indiana, wins the first heat here at Devil's Bowl Speedway.
On a blustery day in Mesquite, Texas, we'll be back for heat number 2.
Beatico Creek, Louisiana, and Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Beatico Creek means bass, fat and tasty, and Milwaukee means beer, cold, crisp, old Milwaukee beer, and the smooth golden light taste of old Milwaukee Light.
Old Milwaukee.
And old Milwaukee Light.
Taste as great as their name.
Let me tell you, it doesn't get any better than this.
All truck companies talk tough, but only one puts its money where its mouth is. Dodge. Because only Dodge gives you a 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty on engine, powertrain, and outer body rust-through. It covers new 85 full-size pickups, wagons, vans, and Ram Chargers, making Dodge the best back trucks in America. That's guaranteed.
Last year, Sears tuned up 1 million engines, performed more than 1 million brake repairs, installed over 3 million shocks, sold upwards of 9 million tires, and replaced more batteries than anyone else in America. At Sears, we install confidence. And best of all, we do it right next door to all this.
There's more for your life. There's more for your life at Sears.
See this ugly yellow stain? That's what comes from cigar or cigarette smoke. Just think what smoking a pack a day, every day, could do to your teeth. But look, here's Topol, the smoker's tooth polish that helps remove all kinds of superficial tobacco stains. Topol starts to work immediately to clean your teeth and to help remove these stains. Just use Topol week after week and watch your teeth get brighter and brighter.
Topol, the smoker's tooth polish, available in regular, fluoride, and gel.
Heat number 2, the World of Outlaws sprint cars getting lined up on the track here at Devil's Bowl in Mesquite, Texas. Right now, let's take a look at the results of heat number 1. Lee Osborne won it, sprinter number 81. Jeff Swindell slid in for second. Brad Doty and Norman Martin will also go directly to the main event. Right now, let's go to Brock Yates, who is with Lee Osborne, the winner of heat 1.
Well, Lee, old Jeff had a good run at you, but you held him off all the way. Didn't look like he had plenty of power coming off the corners.
Yeah, we're working pretty good. We went with a soft tire. We started outside front row, and normally on a day race, the outside row isn't as good a place to start, so we figured we'd go with soft rubber and get the jump, and then kind of try to hold our own from then on. It worked. So.
Lee, how about the wind? Is it bothering you much out there?
Yeah, it's not too bad. This isn't a fast enough racetrack for the wind to really affect us. The wings really make the cars stable because of the size, so I don't think the wind's really a factor. It's a slick racetrack's the biggest factor.
As you head for the feature, she's going to get even slicker, so you're going to tighten the car up at all?
We'll make some changes to the chassis, but just keep going to harder tires. Get something that lasts.
Well, good job. Thanks.
Thank you, Brock.
Okay, Lee.
Okay, and now let's go to Steve with the second place finisher, Jeff Swindell.
Jeff, you appear to be awfully evenly matched with Osborne.
Well, he just got started in the front. I think was a good bit faster. We just had to kind of run in behind him there, and he almost got spun out down there once, and I almost hit him, and every time he'd stop in the middle of the corner, I'd have to turn and go out, and it'd make me push, and I'd have to catch him back up. It's just the way it is on a slick deal like this. You got to run it hard, stay behind the guy, and hope he moves out of the way.
Were you tempted to try him on the outside, or is it just too slick now?
Well, I started to try it down there on the last lap, but it doesn't really make any difference. All we got to do is run the top 4 in this heat race here, so I didn't want to jeopardize that, so I just went ahead and pulled it back down.
See you in the main event.
Thank you a lot.
Brilliant young race driver Jeff Swindell. His older brother Sammy, of course, the more famous of the family right now, but Jeff's got a great future, no doubt about it. As we watch the second heat here at Devil's Bowl Speedway getting warmed up, and we've got the quickest qualifier in the whole weekend of speed here, Steve.
Indeed we do, and you will find him on the outside of the second row. This, again, one of those inverted starts. That is Bobby Allen, who covered this racetrack last night at 15.17 seconds.
Bobby Allen's a former world go-kart champion, Steve, and is very, very experienced. Runs a lot of outlaw campaigns and does very well with these guys. They're all formed up, coming down off the hill, off turn 4. We've got a green flag.
And leading the field at 10 into turn number 1 is yellow number 65. That is Mike Peters. And in the second position, another yellow car. That is Bobby Davis, Jr., number 18.
Another one of the sprint car contingent from Memphis, Tennessee, Bobby Davis Jr., along with the Swindell brothers, a real hard runner and a great future as Bobby Davis Jr. just hooks underneath the leader there, Mike Peters from Wichita, Kansas, and grabs the lead in that yellow number 18 sprinter.
So Bobby Davis Jr. leads it, followed by number 65, Mike Peters, and then Bobby Allen. Now, 4th place here, Brock, and in this kind of racing, it's almost as important as the lead because you transfer to the main. That is Terry Gray in car number 10, but he's getting a lot of pressure from number 3, Kenny Schrader, and in fact, number 23, Steve Perry is gunning for that 4th spot and transfer position.
Righto, Steve. That's a big, big deal to get into the main. That's where all the money is. At this point, it's just preliminaries as we see Bobby Davis Jr. and that beautiful number 18 sprinter just moving around this racetrack, not having any challenges at this point at all. Right in there for second place, number 65, Mike Peters out of Wichita, Kansas, still being challenged by Bobby Allen in that 1A for second place. But right now, it seems as if Allen can't quite, yes he does. He does make a move, tries to make a move. Can he hold it down on the inside? Sideways, side by side, and Bobby Allen just muscles his way through for second place.
Well, Mike Peters is trying to stay in that top four, but with great difficulty, as number 10, Terry Gray, gets around him for the third spot, and now trying to take fourth away from Peters is number 3, Kenny Schrader. Can he do it?
Well, Kenny took a shot at him coming down off of turn 4. Couldn't quite make it, but he's going to go back after him on the inside, out of turn 2. Kenny Schrader on the inside. He's got the line down the back straightaway, and he does take fourth place away from Mike Peters, who falls back into fifth after starting on the pole.
And this is the last lap, Brock. If Mike Peters is going to get back into a transferring position, he's got to do it right now. The white flag has been displayed, and it's going to be Bobby Davis Jr. with the checkered flag here, taking the win in heat number 2 and automatically going to the main event, as will the 3 drivers behind him. So Memphis, Bobby Davis Jr. looking strong here in heat number 2.
Well, after he squeezed by Mike Peters on the opening lap, it was easy going from there on in. So as he heads for victory lane, let's go to Ed Bruce with his special guest.
It's not often a man is privileged to get the chance to speak to a legend. I know if you're a fan of motorsports, you recognize his face. Johnny Rutherford from Texas, 3-time Indianapolis winner. Johnny, appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Well, thank you.
I know that most people, of course, with the additional glamour and exposure that IndyCar racing gets, they know all about Johnny Rutherford, the IndyCar driver. But let's go back a few years to sprint car racing.
Well, yes, of course, I started my career at the Devil's Bowl Speedway. Not this particular racetrack, but at the original Devil's Bowl Speedway, which is closer into town. The fact that this is the namesake, still the Devil's Bowl Speedway, has a lot of course, attachment for me, and the fact that I started my racing career at the Devil's Bowl.
How has sprint car racing changed?
Sprint car racing today, I think, as witnessed by the fact that there are fewer fatalities in sprint cars by standards of when I raced. They're a lot safer. You know, you've got the wings on top, which stop a lot of the bounding of the cars when they flip. They have roll cages. They've got arm restraints. They have, of course, the shoulder harness and seat belts, which we had, but seems to be quite a bit safer today.
Johnny, thanks for talking to us. Let's go back to more World of Outlaws sprint car racing.
Thanks, Ed, and I'm sure you and Johnny will recognize this number. Number 11, Steve Kinzer, Bloomington, Indiana, the winningest outlaw in the history of the sport. Before he gets ready for his heat, though, let's go to Steve Evans with the winner of the second heat, Bobby Davis Jr.
Well, Bobby, you took the lead on the first lap, gave it up, and then took it back on the inside turn 1 again.
Yeah, the track's right around the bottom right now, and if the guy gets out of the groove, you know, it's so slick at the top that you just kind of keep sliding, and you just need to hug the pole and stay right on the bottom.
I know you jumped out of the car and ran over to talk to your crew first. What kind of input were you giving them?
Well, today it's tires, you know. You really have to watch your tires and the chassis and the track.
All right, thank you, Bobby. Good luck.
Thank you.
Brock's with second place, and quick qualifier, Bobby Allen.
Bobby was at the starter. He just once he got loose from me, there was no catching him, right?
Yeah, he had too big of a lead then. I just took too long passing that guy. I had a harder tire on. It took a little while to get hot.
You going to make any changes?
Yeah, a few.
Okay, thanks.
Well, you're going to see some real superstars when we come back with heat number 3. Steve Kinzer, Doug Wolfgang among them. Stick with us here at Devil's Bowl.
Kubota makes cutting the grass as simple as putting your foot down. Our Kubota G-Series diesel lawn and garden tractors let you go from forward to reverse with a hydrostatic transmission and a simple foot pedal. Push down on your toes to go forward, push on your heel to back up. With the HST feature, you can choose a 12 or 14 horsepower model. But the first step is to see your Kubota dealer.
Nothing like it on earth. Lavoris! Lavoris! Lavoris? I know you're there.
I had some yesterday, and my mouth felt clean and fresh, and my breath great.
Honey, where's the Lavoris?
We don't have any.
I had some yesterday.
You were at the dentist yesterday.
You know, you're right, and my breath smelled terrific.
Thousands of dentists use Lavoris mouthwash. For clean, fresh breath every day, you should use Lavoris, too.
I have a problem.
My complexion is part dry and part oily, especially between and over my eyes.
That's combination skin, and it isn't unusual. Try Cuticura medicated soap.
Cuticura?
Yes, Cuticura is formulated with cleansers to remove excess oil, with an antibacterial ingredient, with conditioners designed to help dry patches feel soft and smooth.
Fights oily skin, fights dry skin too, for a fresh, beautiful complexion.
Combination skin problems? Cuticura medicated soap. Use only as directed.
Saturday, it's pure country as Tanya Tucker comes on board at the Church Street Station.
South Carolina, so the Saturday sun went on down.
It's a country fan's delight as Tanya sings hit after hit. And it all happens on Church Street Station. Saturday at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, and 6:30 Pacific on TNN, the Nashville Network.
Okay, we got a bunch of Chevy engines fired up. They're on the racetrack and ready for the start of the third heat here at the Devil's Bowl Speedway. And on the pole, a fine young driver from California, from Sacramento, Jimmy Sills. And we've got a couple of big names in this field, Steve, and not the least of which is that number 11 we talked about a little bit earlier back there in the second row, Steve Kinzer.
And Johnny Rutherford talked about the safety aspect in the World of Outlaws. Steve Kinzer has always been a pace setter when it came to safety, and he's got a new device that I had a chance to look at just before the race started. Before you jump to any conclusions, no, I have absolutely no intention of driving Steve Kinzer's car number 11, but I do want to show you the latest in safety developments we found here at Devil's Bowl. This is Steve Kinzer's helmet, okay, and you've heard of tearaways. Normally a driver, if he gets a face full of mud, has to reach up and grab a spare lens, a little flimsy little tearaway, pull it off so he can see. Kinzer's got an automatic deal here. You see the little black cord there? That plugs into a battery on the dashboard, and then there's a button on the steering wheel. Anytime his vision is impaired, he punches that button. This little electric motor here winds a piece of this mylar across, and he's always got only one thickness to look for. It doesn't matter about here because the track is dry. They're going to get more dust and mud. But on a hot, muggy Saturday night in Memphis, Tennessee, you'll get a face full of mud. Maybe have to wear 20 tear-offs that you can barely see through when you first go out. So with this little device here, which is patent pending, I understand, that could solve that problem. So Steve Kinzer, as usual, a step ahead.
Right, Steve, and he's even got another little trick here that he's brought to Devil's Bowl. This is an adjustable wing that he can change the attitude from while he's running in the cockpit. If he wants more downforce, he changes the wing angle downward. If he wants more straightaway speed, he backs off and levels the wing up. Very tricky stuff for Steve Kinzer and that yellow number 11. But let's not forget, right next to him on the outside is another heavy hitter in this business, Doug Wolfgang out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Well, the green flag is out there, hammer down into turn number 1, and leading them is Jimmy Sills from Sacramento, the silver car number 71 in. Going way high is 23W Greg Woolley. He'll be out of it.
Getting underneath him is in that white 2A is Richard Lupo out of Hanover, Pennsylvania, as we watch the leader, Jimmy Sills, come down the front straightaway and establish a big lead going down the back straight.
Well, Sioux Falls, South Dakota's Doug Wolfgang, a legend in sprint car racing, is in the 4th position, and that's really as high as he needs to finish to get to the main. Trying to get it away from him is Richard Lupo, 2A, another white car.
And look at this race for second place. That's Steve Kinzer in that yellow number 11, trying to muscle his way past Bill Bailey, which he does in that white 28. Bailey in a brand new automobile, but not enough for Steve Kinzer, who now takes over an undisputed second place.
And that pushes Bill Bailey, number 28, back into 3rd, and just behind him in the 4th and final transfer spot is Doug Wolfgang in the 1N car. And just behind Wolfgang, the second car in your picture, is number 2A, Richard Lupo. He knows he's going to have to move up one more spot to get to the main without having to run a consolation.
And he's got a tough job because to get by Doug Wolfgang takes some mighty prodigious driving. And there goes Wolfgang in the center of your screen, holding on to that 4th place spot, but he doesn't seem to be able to narrow the distance between himself and Bill Bailey in that white number 28. In fact, he's given up a little bit down the front straightaway, but now it tightens up a little bit. A good race. Richard Lupo challenging coming out of the back straight, Steve.
Oh, he sure did. Richard Lupo tried him down low. Now he's going to try him high, and Richard Lupo gets around Doug Wolfgang, slides right into 4th.
Terrific piece of driving as he pitches that sprinter sideways going into turn 1 and hangs on the outside. Just drives all the way around Doug Wolfgang. A beautiful piece of work by Richard Lupo.
Well, Steve Kinser in yellow 11 is never satisfied with second place. Here he challenges for the lead. Jimmy Sills, 71M, the silver car, hangs on.
Well, it's now or never, Steve, for Steve Kinser, because this is the final lap. They're coming off turn 4, headed for the checkered flag, and Jimmy Sills, Sacramento, California, takes the victory here in heat number 3. Good job by Richard Lupo, who hangs on to take fourth. And the big news there is that one of the real headliners in this business, Doug Wolfgang, gets shut out of the feature. He's going to have to run in the consolation race if he has any intentions of winning the main event here.
Well, Northern California fans would be thrilled to see this, a heat victory for 71N Jimmy Sills. He's won every title possible at Capital Speedway in Sacramento, Baylands in San Jose, up at Chico Speedway, San Jose. He has won it all in that part of the country. Finishing second to Jimmy Sills with a transfer spot, number 11, Steve Kinser, followed by Bill Bailey and Richard Lupo, who nerfed out Doug Wolfgang on that final lap. So those are the 4 going to the main. We'll be back.
Going shopping doesn't have to mean driving around, wasting gas, and wasting time. Now you can shop at the Country Card Country Store, right in your own home. Sit down and relax. All you need is your TV, your phone, and your country card. So sit back and shop. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Share all your holiday joy with Ralph and Red Christmas Together. This special album is a loving collection of your favorite host's most cherished Christmas classics. And it's created especially for you from the Nashville Network. Sing along with these Christmas treasures. Jingle bells.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight?
Santa Claus is coming to town.
You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why.
Why, Ralph?
Santa Claus is coming to town.
He's coming.
Ralph and Red Christmas Together is available on Blossom Gap Records and Cassettes. Special country card price of $9.95, $10.95 for non-members. Send your check or money order with your country card number plus $2 for shipping and handling to this address. But for fastest delivery, call 1-800-626-0300.
Merry Christmas, Red.
Merry Christmas to you too, Ralph.
Do you have a question about your favorite Nashville Network shows or stars? Maybe you've wondered if you could attend some of our Nashville Network shows in person. Whatever your question, we'd like to try to help. And if you have any suggestions or comments about TNN you'd like to share, please write to us, care of TNN Information Services, the Nashville Network, 2806 Opryland Drive, Nashville, Tennessee, 37214. We'd be delighted to hear from you.
They're firing up the alcohol-burning Chevys here for heat number 4 here at Devil's Bowl, and we got some stars in this one, Perkle, Swindell, Tim Green. But in the meantime, let's go to Steve Evans with the winner of heat number 3, Jimmy Sills.
Well, Jimmy Sills, a very nice drive in the heat race. Steve Kinser was behind you, but he wasn't making up any ground.
Well, this car, it's a coilover. It's a little different from what everybody else is running. It seems to like this type of racetrack, a dry slick.
A different appearing car, even the body, the whole deal.
Well, the car ends up being a lot shorter, so the hood to meet the front of the car, it makes the whole car look a little different.
That's got to encourage you to come all the way from Sacramento, California, and take it to the Outlaws here in their hometown of Dallas.
Yeah, well, mainly because we didn't qualify too good, and now we got our car where it's working pretty good, and we're going to have to come from the back of the feature, so we got to find something that they don't have.
Okay, well, let's see if you can find it.
Yeah, thank you.
Brock's with the winningest outlaw of them all, and second in heat number 3, Steve Kinser.
Boy, you kind of ran out of laps there. I bet you're not too happy about that.
Well, it's just a heat race, and it's all it meant was I'd run the top 4 and get qualified for the main. There'll be a few more laps in the main. Maybe we can get to the front from where we're at.
How's the setup feel right now, Steve?
Yeah, we're not bad. We're still playing around a little bit with a little rubber and a stagger in the wing, and I think we can get it together.
Is Devil's Bowl about what you'd expect it to be on a day like this?
Oh, yeah, I've been here on the daytime races before, and it's just about the same every time.
The old girl probably figured out a few tricks for you, though, later in the afternoon, if everybody says that this place can surprise you all the time.
No, I can. You never know. You sit there and try to get hard tires on, and all at once they'll get the rubber down on the track where the cars don't slip and slide very much, and then you can go back to softer tires, so it's a guessing game all the way.
Steve, what's the worst or most difficult place on this racetrack to set up for? Coming off a 2 or going down it out of 4 or where?
Well, that's about the hardest place I would say to get off. Maybe it is 4. Everybody's pretty well the same speed. You can get off at 2 pretty hard. If you get through there right and get off on the bottom, you get off pretty good there.
Okay, well, good luck. Hope everything works out in the main.
I think so,
Thank you, sir.
Well, we're just about ready for another dose of mechanized bull riding, the World Outlaw sprinters. Rick Burkle, who along with Kenser was one of the first outlaws on the outside of row number 1, on the outside of row 2, the quickest qualifier in this particular heat, a 2-time champion in 81 and 82, Sammy Swindell. And next to Sammy on the inside of row number 2, maybe the best from Northern California currently, number 7, Tim Green.
Tim Green, who spends a lot of his winters racing down in Australia, where sprint car racing is extremely popular as well. As they come down, and it looks like we're going to take a green flag here. Yes, the green is out, and the race is on, and that is Rick Burkle, Tiffin, Ohio, sliding down into first place as they head up the hill. And that's Tim Green charging into second place, and right behind him, the number 1 car of Sammy Swindell gets it up on the dirt on the inside and loses some ground, but not Tim Green, who's right in behind Rick Burkle and is going to challenge for the lead down the back straightaway.
Look at this. Tim Green and Burkle side by side, and Green is going to get around him on the inside.
He sure is. Puts that wheel right up on that dirt mound on the inside of the racetrack, but Rick Burkle won't give way and holds on. But boy, what a race, Steve.
How about Burkle? And now it's Swindell challenging Burkle for the lead. The 2 red cars just surrounding World Burkle.
He sure did. Tim Green got a little bit wide going up into turn 2, and that gave Sammy Swindell a chance to get through, and boy, did he take advantage of it. Now he's got about a 5-car length lead.
What was it Steve Kenser said? It's only a heat race. You'd never know it looking at these guys in heat number 4.
Boy, oh boy, there goes Tim Green by Rick Burkle. Just can't hold him off. So Rick in that white number 63 falls back into 3rd place, and now Tim Green sets out after Sammy Swindell. He's got a big lead right now in that red number 1.
Swindell pushing it as hard as he can, making sure he has the combination for the main. Rick Burkle now in the 3rd spot, white number 63, and just behind him, if he can hang on to 4th, he'll still transfer, is 1T, Gary Bell from Houston. Now Swindell suddenly slows, and that's because we're going to have a yellow flag. Buck Robertson, one of the Memphis bunch, car number 98, is off the racetrack. They bring out the caution flag. Of course, those laps will not be counted. The field will form up and circle around until the event director says it's safe to restart this race. And here is Sammy Swindell. And 2 positions behind Sammy is a man who was one of the real headliners 6 years ago, the first season of Outlaw competition. Brock Yates had a chance to reminisce with Rick Burkle just before the race.
I'm with Rick Burkle, one of the real old pros in the Outlaws. Rick, it's been a long, long time. You've been around these guys, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes over the years. But boy, I'll tell you, every time we come back, the equipment gets better, and the kids get a little bit younger, don't they?
Well, you know, you didn't have to make that comment. Old pro. You know, you just said pro and left out the old. Yeah, there is no doubt about it, Brock. You know, time goes on, you know, and there has been a lot of changes. You know, we've just seen all kinds of changes in sprint car race. Of course, I've been at it for 20 years, so you do see a lot of changes. And you're right, there are a lot of young kids, you know, racing now.
What's the biggest single change you've seen in sprint car racing over your career, Rick?
I'd say, you know, the thing that's probably affected, there's 2 things really that affected, but probably the biggest thing that's affected it lately is the motor race. You know, the motor race is just unreal, you know, and of course the cost of it's astronomical also, you know, but, you know, years ago people thought, well, you never needed that much horsepower, you can never hook the cars up that tight to the ground anyhow. Not so, you know, I mean, I think if they didn't put any limits ever on them, I think it'd just go to infinity, you know.
Well, drag racing's got its big daddy Don Garlits racing still after the age of 50. I think Burkle will be around well after 52. We have got a restart on heat number 4. It is Sammy Swindell, red number 1, with Tim Green right behind him, number 7 in 2nd spot. There's Rick Burkle. He's back there in 3rd. And behind him in the 4th position is 1T. That's Bell.
Okay, so Rick appears to be headed for a spot in the feature if he can hold on to that 3rd place spot, but it's not as certain for Gary Bell, who's going to be challenged here by 1C, Andy Hillenberg out of Indianapolis, Indiana. So it's an interesting event, Steve, because all eyes really are on the leader, but the real critical spot is back there in 4th place. Right now, Sammy Swindell's got himself a good, solid lead, but right there, that number 1 car in the left side of your screen, that is Andy Hillenberg, and the number 44A, that is Ricky Allen. Ricky's a Texas boy. A lot of good race drivers have come out of Texas. We met Johnny Rutherford a little bit earlier, sprint car fame, and a man by the name of Foyt drove some sprint cars, as I remember. Can't remember his first name, though, Steve.
And this red car that is right now heading for the checkered flag, being driven by Sammy Swindell, is also based here in the Dallas area, owned by four-time funny car world champion Raymond Beadle and his Blue Max operation. So Swindell has taken the checker in heat number 4, and to no one's surprise, goes directly, do not pass go, to the main event. You'd never type Sammy Swindell as a fearless race car driver when you meet him. Very soft-spoken, a gentle guy. Right now, wheeling that wing creation over to his chaparral trailer in the pit area. Brock Yates, my pal, earlier had a chance to explore the inside of that race car transporter and just see what kind of inventory is necessary to keep one of these cars running all series long across the country.
When you run as many races a year as these guys do, you might as well call them the world of nomads instead of the world of outlaws. They're on the road constantly, and these trailers become their shop away from home. In this particular case, the Sammy Swindell trailer is a 42-foot chaparral, and believe me, it's got everything on board. A full workbench and all sorts of tools, a vise. Inside here, spare parts of all kinds. Even down here, 3 aluminum racing engines for the Sprinter, mounted up there, ready to be put in the car in the event of a problem. Down here, a full rear axle assembly, a pair of front axles in here because they're the ones that often get damaged in this kind of racing. All kinds of shock absorbers, spare parts everywhere, and of course, more tires than you can imagine. In the case of the Outlaws, the secret is don't leave home without it.
And still, they have to come back to home base 4 times a year for a refill. We'll be back for the 5th and final heat and also talk to Sammy Swindell right after these words.
Dodge announces the toughest truck warranty in America. 5 years or 50,000 miles. Covering transmissions, drive shafts, blocks, heads, flywheels, transfer cases, axles, U-joints, water pumps, all internal engine parts, and outer body rust through on every truck we build. Ford and Chevy talk tough. Dodge proves it. Dodge, the best back trucks in America. That's guaranteed.
Seguin, Texas and Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Seguin means barbecue at its biggest and best. And Milwaukee means beer. Cold, crisp, old Milwaukee beer. And smooth, golden old Milwaukee Light. And old Milwaukee. And old Milwaukee Light. Tastes as great as their name.
You know, it doesn't get any better than this.
Hi, I'm Ruth Ann, and I've just released an album on MCA Records that I'd love to share with you. The album is called Hello, It's Me, and I'm going to be singing some of the songs from it right here on the Nashville Network. I hope you'll join me for 30 minutes of live country music here on New Country.
You'll enjoy the country stylings of Ruth Ann following Nashville Now, Monday at 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central, and 7:30 p.m. Pacific on TNN, the Nashville Network. Weekdays sizzle here on TNN as country's top hit makers preview their latest albums on New Country. Then pick up on the music and fun when the whole gang starts picking at the Paradise. Who are some of tomorrow's country stars? Meet them along with Porter Wagoner at Opryland. Then the laughter's nonstop. The good times roll when everyone drops in at the I-40 Paradise. And you'll want to get in on today's newest country steps with Jackie Ward and company on Dancin' USA. More of country's brightest up-and-comers are hosted by Jim Ed Brown as he welcomes them to You Can Be a Star. Later, Bill Anderson has questions for country fans who are in the know on Fandango. Weekdays, the stars really shine. Ralph Emery welcomes country greats to a live and lively get-together on Nashville Now. And Archie Campbell has the guests you want to see on Yesteryear in Nashville. It all happens weekdays on TNN, the Nashville Network.
They call them the Thunder Cars, Outlaw Sprinters, Devil's Bowl Speedway, Mesquite, Texas. We're seeing the first of 2 days of racing here at Devil's Bowl. The 5th heat about to get underway. Let's go to Steve Evans with Sammy Swindell, who just won the 4th heat.
Car owner Raymond Beadle coming in to check in with Sammy Swindell tells him he's about 4/10 off of his qualifying times from last evening. Sammy, everything appeared to be working just beautifully out there, Sam. Everything appeared to be working beautifully.
Yeah, real well. Well, I think we may have a little bit of advantage. We've been pretty quick on these kind of racetracks, you know, for the last couple of years, and you know, I think it's due to our combination, our tires and everything. But you know, when you work with something and you can run, you know, we're up front just about every time we come to a daytime race like this. So we just keep working on getting a little better. So I think that gives us a little advantage going in. We just brought the car out here, and we haven't had to do a thing to it yet.
You and I talked earlier about the uphill characteristic of this racetrack, and you had the much smoother line out of turn 1 and into turn 2. You weren't carrying the front end nearly as high as the other guys. You just appear to have that wired.
Well, I used to run this track, you know, when I first started. We'd come down here on Friday nights and run, and I've got quite a few laps in, and this is sort of like running on pavement. You got to be nice and straight and nice and smooth, and when you know, it's a place where if you lose some momentum or something, to pick it back up real quick, you just spin the tires. But if you can just keep a nice smooth pace around there, you can get around the racetrack a little quicker, and we seem to be able to do that.
Well, you did it beautifully. Good luck. Californian Tim Green had a smooth pace too, running second to Sammy. Brock's with him.
Well, Tim, Sammy got loose on you, and he just couldn't quite reel him in. Was the car handling okay?
Yeah, the car felt good. We tried a different tire combination, you know, because we were sitting pretty good in the heat race. If we just finished in the top 4, we would have got into the feature. And we tried something a little different, experiment pretty much for the feature today and also for tomorrow and stuff. And it wasn't quite as good as it was when we hot lapped, but we're going to make some changes to go back to other deal. I think we'll be all right. The car's working fine. It's just a matter, this deal here, if you get in, if you're in the lead, you know, you can kind of pretty much set your pace because it's kind of a hard deal to pass on right now. Maybe later on in the future, if the groove moves up a little wider, you might be able to pass on the outside, but I'm not worried. The car's fine.
Pace lap underway for the 5th and final heat. On the outside of the front row is one of the many Kinser family boys out of Indiana. This is number 51, Mark Kinser. Alongside him, 81X, a Texas name if I ever heard one, T.J. Giddings, except he's from Kansas City, Brock.
Well, nobody's perfect. Ronnie Schumann and the 3rd row, one of the big names in outlaw racing. Outside of him, Tim G from way up in White Horse, the Yukon territory. Also a regular on the outlaw trail, but one of the younger drivers. His father crew chiefs that automobile, and they travel the whole season down here in the United States before heading back for the winter. Looks like we're going to get a green as Mark Kinser leads that roaring pack down on a turn 4 and into turn 1, and he's got himself a pretty good lead in that white number 51, Steve.
And the red car ducking in for the 2nd spot. That's 81X T.J. Giddings from Kansas City.
Right behind him, a local boy, Terry Moore, right from here in Dallas. And behind him, one of the real pros in this business, 21X, Ronnie Schumann, Mesa, Arizona. We're going to watch him because I'm sure that he's going to move up in this field, Steve.
Schumann driving the orange car, a guy who can drive any kind of dirt car, with or without wings, USAC sprinters, it doesn't matter. Schumann is just an excellent shoe.
And right behind the leader, Mark Kinser, is T.J. Giddings. Giddings is a solid professional from the Midwest, runs out there around Knoxville and that famous racetrack, and around the Midwest, shows up at the outlaw races quite a bit and is always a factor. But right now, it's Mark Kinser with T.J. Giddings still trying to duck underneath him as they head up that little incline out onto the back straightaway. And now we've got a yellow flag.
The yellow flag slows them down as in turn number 2, Brock, there's a problem. Car number 75, Ed French, and car number 77H, that's Ken Harbison from Missouri, have tangled there. It looks like some severe wing damage on the front end of the 75 car. Not likely that he'll restart, but we'll see. Meanwhile, Ed Bruce is still wandering through the pit area looking for interesting people to talk to. He's real good at that. He found Johnny Rutherford earlier. Let's check in with Ed right now and see who the cowboy has collected this time.
For a man that's virtually a legend in motorsports racing, Raymond Beadle's practically a young'un. Raymond, how you doing?
Fine, how you doing?
You've been doing this a long time, haven't you?
I've been racing professionally since '71 full time.
Well, now you were into drag racing first, right?
Yeah, I still am into drag racing, and last year, I'd been involved with the last couple of years with some sprint cars, and last year I kind of went out and we went NASCAR racing and sprint car racing full time.
Okay, the Blue Max Old Milwaukee team is involved now in sprint cars, drag racing, what else?
We have a NASCAR Grand National team with Tim Richmond, and then also we just built a new sportsman car, and Sammy's driving it on a limited basis.
Sammy Swindell is driving it?
That's right.
In his spare time?
Yeah.
What's next, Indianapolis?
No, I don't think so. I'm content on what I've got now. We're just going to kind of concentrate on what we do and try to do it real good.
Raymond, thanks for taking the time to talk to us, and let's go back to more World of Outlaws racing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed and Raymond. It looks as if we've got the racetrack about cleared here and probably are going to get ourselves a green flag. Mark Kinzer still leads at T.J. Giddings. Terry Moore, Ron Schumann back there in that 4th spot. Of course, Ron is most interested in hanging out of that one because that'll give him entree into the feature. As they come down off of 4, the green is out, and Mark Kinzer has got himself another good jump for first place.
Well, in the earlier parts of this race, before the yellow, he just drove right away from T.J. Giddings. Now, here is Schumann trying to put a move on Terry Moore in car number 12.
Well, Terry Moore is doing a real good job holding off that veteran Ronnie Schumann, but it's still the kid, Mark Kinzer, holding the lead and effectively holding T.J. Giddings at bay for 2nd spot.
You know, Brock, you got to wonder about the tire choice on the Schumann car. He appears to be sliding all over the racetrack. Normally, he would get around more.
Well, he just did. Just pushed his way past Terry Moore into 3rd place, but it was a hard drive. You'd usually expect a veteran like Ronnie Schumann not to have quite that much trouble getting past a driver like Terry Moore, but now he's got a clear racetrack and may have his sights set on T.J. Giddings.
Whoa, and look at the Canadian, Tim G on the inside. Gets a berm shot coming out of that particular turn, and that'll put him into the 4th spot, and that's a transfer position.
Well, it's got to make Tim G and his dad down there in the pit area mighty happy as we watch Mark Kinzer drive right around some of the slower cars. He's only got one more lap left, but he's still got T.J. Giddings to cope with as he gets through one of the slower automobiles and now has a clear track, and it looks as if he's headed for a checkered flag here. Unless he makes a big mistake in the last few yards, he's got it. That's a victory. Mark Kinzer, Bloomington, Indiana, one of the famed Kinzer Racing Bunch, takes home the 5th heat here at Devil's Bowl Speedway. T.J. Giddings behind him, and Ron Schumann back there in 3rd. Tim G moves up on the last lap to take 4th place.
No, at any one time in their home base of Indiana, the Kinzers could field as many as 5 brothers and cousins in some kind of dirt machinery. They just live to race. It's a family tradition.
It sure is, Steve, as we watch Tim G kick his Sprinter out of gear and coast on into the pits. Earlier, Steve Evans had a chance to look at this number 88 Sprinter and get an idea of how it's driven.
As far as cockpit controls are concerned, a sprint car is among the simplest of championship racing automobiles. Let's take a look inside car number 88, driven by Tim G. Let's pick it up with Tim's first action, and that is push starting the automobile. There is no transmission in a sprint car, strictly an in and out box. It's either in gear or out of gear. The black knob you see in the down position is neutral, as it is now. As soon as the push truck moves, in fact, before it moves, he'll pull that up into gear. When it gets to about 20, 25 miles an hour, he'll check to make sure he has oil pressure. If that satisfies him, he then will turn the fuel on here. Once the fuel is on, he can hit the ignition switch, the mag switch really, and the engine is going to start. Another device in the cockpit is this fuel injector metering valve. Now, Tim can actually select the jetting for the engine. Let's say that he's on a yellow flag lap. He notices that the engine temperature is rising. He can richen up the mixture so that the engine will run cooler. In anticipation of the green flag for more horsepower, he can then lean it down. As far as foot controls are concerned, equally as simple. He has a throttle pedal on the right and a brake pedal on the left. The brake is used for more than just slowing the car down. It actually can be an aid in handling. Sometimes you'll be on the brake and the throttle all at the same time. Pretty simple stuff, huh? Just try it.
You got it, Steve. As we get ready for more racing here at the Devil's Bowl Speedway, Mesquite, Texas, the World of Outlaws. They'll be back.
Out for a day just chasing the sun, or doing the work that's got to be done, or riding a race that's got to be won. Kawasaki. Now with a choice of three-wheelers that offer low prices, high performance, and about everything in between. And for one more wheel of a time, check out the all-new Bayou four-wheeler. Get the best of both worlds at your Kawasaki dealer.
Last year, Sears tuned up 1 million engines, performed more than 1 million brake repairs, installed over 3 million shocks, sold upwards of 9 million tires, and replaced more batteries than anyone else in America. At Sears, we install confidence. And best of all, we do it right next door to all this.
There's more for your life, some for your life at Sears.
Oh, Sally, what happened?
Oh, strained my back.
I know what'll help. Doan's pills.
Good advice. Doan's pills for simple muscular backache pain due to overexertion, stress, or strain. Doan's pills contain magnesium salicylate, a painkiller found in no other leading analgesic, for relief of minor muscular backache pain for hours.
Just drop by to see how your back feels. Good enough to fold sheets.
Thanks to taking Doan's pills.
Doan's pills. Use only as directed.
Saturday, enjoy an hour of great music and fun at America's favorite honky-tonk.
I'm gonna wake up in your arms tomorrow. You're gonna make it the night of my life.
Join Mickey Gilley and Charlie McLean, Johnny Lee and Lane Brody, Wendell Atkins, Steve Michaels, and more for Saturday night at Gilley's at 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central, 7:30 p.m. Pacific on TNN, the Nashville Network.
You're looking at one deadly serious sprint car driver from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Doug Wolfgang did not transfer out of his heat race, which means he will be in the B feature and have to finish number 1 or number 2 to make the main. They're making every change possible to this sprinter to get it to perform. Brock Yates is now with winner of heat number 5, Mark Kinzer. Brock?
Well, here comes another Kinzer into the World of Outlaws. Mark is a distant cousin of Steve's, but sure lent another checkered flag to the family escutcheon today. Mark, congratulations. I understand this is your first World of Outlaws win.
Yes.
Kind of a bad start there. I bet you thought, oh boy, this ain't the way I wanted to be getting this deal. What happened on that pace lap?
Well, I think Jennings was wanting me to get started in the infield or something. He just kept on pushing me down there, and I wasn't going to let him have no room. Just the way it goes.
Okay, but once you got loose, the car seemed to hook up real well, and no real problem. Nobody was able to really seriously challenge you.
Well, the car was handling great. I got Scott there working on the car, and my dad helps out a lot, and they really had her hooked up.
You going to make any changes for the feature?
Probably very little tires.
Okay. Well, congratulations again, Mark. Good job.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go to Steve Evans, who's hooked up with T.J. Giddings.
Well, TJ, it looks like your style fits this Devil's Bowl Speedway very nicely.
I hope so. We got a long ways back to start in the feature.
Had you raced here before?
We raced here last year once. Yeah.
How'd you do last year?
Qualifying feature, we ran 4th, and then the tires wouldn't work the next day, so we was out to lunch.
Well, this is going to put you in the main event. What kind of changes you're going to have the crew make to the car?
Oh, we might just change a little weight around and stuff, maybe some tires. It's working pretty good. It could be a little faster coming off corners, but...
do you think there may be a better outside line by the time we get to the main event?
Yeah, there might be, because if they start running up high and getting some rubber down, it'll be a good racetrack with some passing going on.
Well, let's hope that happens. Good luck.
Thank you.
So as T.J. Giddings goes back to work on the setup for the feature event, we're going to have what's called the C feature. In the old days, it used to be called the consolation race. Over 50 cars showed up here at Devil's Bowl for this weekend of racing, and 16 of the fellas just didn't have very good luck. Some qualified very badly, others didn't do well in their heat races. Some of these guys are very young drivers, inexperienced. Some of this is very tired, old equipment. No matter what, they're going to have to work hard. 2 of these cars will advance into what we call the B main, and there hopefully leapfrog into the main event. The rest of them, well, they're just going to race for pride and hopefully a little bit of experience, but it's a long road for them, Steve Evans.
And the C feature sometimes, Brock, can resemble more of a bumper car race than a sprint car race. There's a lot of nervous, anxious young drivers here all wanting to look good.
There sure is, and you can be sure that men like Wolfgang and Swindell and everybody who's now in the top rank started just like this. But right now we've got a leader, 11A, that's Joe Clay, jumped off the pole to lead it. Joe Clay, right from here in Texas, is out front.
And just behind him is yellow number 33, that is Bill Smith, and traveling in the 3rd spot, 11N, Bobby Marshall.
So the fellas got a good start. Sometimes, as you said, we see a big crash right at the start with a lot of less experienced drivers in these C features, but right now the drivers are doing really well. In fact, Joe Clay's got it nice and sideways, seem to be well hooked up as he heads down the back straightaway.
And Bobby Marshall, 11 in, is closing in on number 33, Bill Smith, trying to get that second spot.
Good to see these fellas doing such a good job. Look at that, a good race for second.
And second is what really matters here. You can forget that third and fourth position. If you don't finish 1 or 2, you are done for the day.
So Bobby Marshall out of Allen, Texas, takes over the second spot, and he's got to be pleased about that. In fact, he came out of the third row of starters in this thing to move up into the second spot. Good job by Bobby Marshall.
Well, Bobby Marshall, along with our leader, 11A, the yellow car, Joe Clay, up in front. They can just smell that transfer spot to the B feature, Brock.
Sure can, and that's where the money begins to pay off pretty good here at Devil's Bowl. So there's a lot of incentive, pride, as you say, and a few bucks at the end of this drive for Joe Clay and Bobby Marshall. Now both of them have got a pretty decent leg on the rest of the field, but now Joe Clay is starting to move into traffic, and there can always be the potential for trouble there. Got a little wide. Notice that there are no fences here at Devil's Bowl. If you get wide, you just kind of go out into the Mesquite and ride around out there in the sagebrush for a while. If you can keep it together, you can come right back on the racetrack.
Well, there's a fence certainly down in front of the grandstands, Brock. That's the one area they always protect.
That's where the paying customers are. You got to be careful of them. But right now, Joe Clay and that pretty yellow number 11 wing sprinter is driving right through everybody and on his way to what appears to be a solid victory. Behind him, Bobby Marshall in that red, also number 11. They stuck a little initial behind it so everybody can keep track of it in the scoring stand, but they're both 11 cars, one yellow, one red.
And the driver of the red 11 is not going to be satisfied with second place. Bobby Marshall challenging 11A Joe Clay for the lead, and you take a chance here, Brock, on maybe causing an incident that takes you both out of the B feature.
Well, he's diving underneath them, got hooked up real good. Those tires smoking as they come down the back straightaway, and for a minute there, Bobby Marshall had his sights on first place, but now Joe Clay reestablishes his lead, and the final lap, heading down for the checker. Joe Clay, Little Rock, Arkansas, just noses out Bobby Marshall to take it here in the C feature. A good race. All of a sudden, Bobby Marshall just came out of nowhere to challenge Joe Clay, but Joe held on to take the victory. So the important message here is that both Joe Clay and Bobby Marshall will move on to the B feature, and hopefully a little luck there might get into the main. Unfortunately, for the rest of the fellas, they're going to have to load up and head home. Let's go to Ed Bruce with a guest in the pit area.
This is Lanny Edwards. Lanny is the owner of the Devil's Bowl Speedway here in Mesquite, Texas. Lanny, we know that Devil's Bowl has quite a mystique surrounding it, and it's a pretty special place in racing history. What's so special about Devil's Bowl?
I think it's because that we've had so many great guys that's run here. You know, we've had Rutherford that's run here, we've had McAreese that's run here, we've had Oppermans that's run here. Just the greatest dirt car drivers in the country's always run here.
And some of them have gone on to run on the bricks, too, haven't they?
Yeah, they sure have.
What else is special about this track?
Well, it's only half-mile racetrack in Texas. It's also the back straightaway is 15 feet higher than the front straightaway. So we got a backstage, so that makes it a little unique. Probably the only racetrack in the United States that's built like that.
Was it for better viewing? Was that the reason for it?
Yeah, it was so that we could pit in the infield and the fans could see the back straightaway.
Okay. Now, I guess there are a lot of famous racetracks around the country and around the world, but this one is noted for possibly starting a particular breed of racing, wasn't it?
Yeah, we started the World of Outlaws here in 1978.
Right here on this track?
Right here. Jimmy Boyd from California won the race. Never will forget it.
Lenny, I know you're busy, and we're going to go back to some more sprint car racing. Thanks for talking to us. Back to the World of Outlaws.
All right, thank you, Ed, and thank you, Lanny, for having us here at Devil's Bowl. We'll be back with the B feature. Always an exciting race in the World of Outlaws. Stick with us.
East Point, Maine and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. East Point means a New England clam bake, summer fun and food at its best. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer and smooth golden Old Milwaukee Light.
Old Milwaukee.
And Old Milwaukee Light.
Taste as great as their name.
No, guys, it doesn't get any better than this.
All truck companies talk tough, but only one puts its money where its mouth is. Dodge. Because only Dodge gives you a 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty on engine, powertrain, and outer body rust-through. It covers new 85 full-size pickups, wagons, vans, and Ram Chargers, making Dodge the best back trucks in America. That's guaranteed.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This is Bobby Bear. Join me Saturdays on the Nashville Network for some talking and picking with some of my best friends, the songwriters.
Bobby Bear and Friends, Songwriters Showcase, is sponsored by our good friends at Dan Post Boots. So much handcrafting goes into every Dan Post boot. That's why they'll fit as perfectly and as comfortably as you'd expect. Dan Post, boot making at its best. Founded in 1967, the National Songwriters Association International has helped songwriters gain the recognition they deserve. Join Archie Campbell as he interviews the executive director of NSAI, Maggie Cavender, on Yesteryear in Nashville, Friday at 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central, and 8:30 p.m. Pacific, and again Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, and 10 a.m. Pacific on TNN, the Nashville Network.
Well, while we're away from the Devil's Bowl Speedway, they tried to start the B feature under some threatening skies and immediately got a caution flag when number 65, Mike Peters, Wichita, Kansas, had tire problems and brought out the yellow flag. So they're under the yellow as they rotate around this half-mile speedway, and Mike Peters heads for the pits. In the lead, Doug, the Wolfgang, who had problems, as you remember, in his heat, is having to start back in the B feature. But right now, the green is out. No, it came out and then immediately went back in. The starter didn't like the way that field was warming up. He said, do it again, guys. So Doug Wolfgang sitting out front, Randy Wolf right behind him, Terry Moore and Steve Perry, who is on the bubble. Only 4 go to the main. The pressure is on Steve Perry.
And it's Greg Woolley instantly trying to take 4th spot away from Perry. And Woolley gets sideways, drives right into the side of Perry, and takes a tumble. Greg Woolley in 23W laying on its side. We can tell that Steve Perry is okay. Greg Woolley still in. He's out of the car. Both drivers are A-OK. And I tell you, the wing contributed to the good health of Greg Woolley in a spectacular crash. And that often will happen when one driver so badly wants that qualifying spot from another. Here you see on the outside, the red car trying to pass into 4th. Suddenly he just turns left, drives right into the right rear tire of Steve Perry, and Greg Woolley goes for a ride. Notice the job the wing does here in cushioning this crash. The roll bar never made contact with the race car. It stands straight up on end and bang, back on 2 wheels. And fortunately, Greg Woolley walks away. From another angle, you see Woolley already launched off the side of Perry's car. And miraculously driving around the entire incident is car number 18, the orange machine from Illinois of Rick Pennell. And without that wing, Greg Woolley might not have been so very, very fortunate on this day. Brock Yates is down at the scene of the accident with Greg Woolley.
Hey, Greg, you all right?
Yeah.
Tell me what happened.
Oh, we just got on that restart and got on it, and Steve kind of pushed a little bit, and I got up over his right rear tire, and, you know, that's how it goes.
You feel okay, though?
Yeah, we'll be here tomorrow.
Glad you're okay.
Okay, thank you.
Greg Woolley says out of a close one, but looks like he's in good shape. Says he'll be back.
Okay, let's go to Steve Evans with Steve Perry.
So, Steve, apparently Woolley just rode right up over your tires, huh?
Yeah, we got off in there real hot on the start. We started a little too early, and I got up in the infield a little bit and pushed, and we just got together. I think he had a little bit more misfortune than I did, but neither one of us qualified, so.
Yeah, well, your misfortune, certainly. That's the penalty. Neither one of you are going to be in the main event, but your guys are working on it like there was another race today.
Yeah, we thought we might be able to get ready. We got all the parts, but just not enough time.
Well, the Dallas fans are going to miss seeing you out there.
We're going to miss being there.
Thank you, Steve.
Well, a tough break, but of course these fellas have another chance tomorrow. We've got 2 days of racing here on a big weekend at Devil's Bowl Speedway as the guys that survived that crash continued to circulate here, waiting for a green flag, led by Doug Wolfgang, Randy Wolf, Terry Moore, now Rick Pennell, who got out of that crash, went way wide and missed it. He's moved up into the 4th spot. And now we're headed for a green flag, Steve.
And it's Doug Wolfgang, to no one's surprise, launching out of turn number 4, now into turn number 1, and extending his lead. Now look at the battle again for 4th. It is 18X, the orange car of Rick Pennell, who avoided the accident. He loses 4th position to 44A Ricky Allen. And now Allen is going to be challenged by the fellow we saw second in the C feature, Bobby Marshall, 11N.
Bobby Marshall really running hard here, doing a fine job as we watch those two guys, Ricky Allen, and now Marshall has gotten by Allen and moves out a little bit as they head down that back straightaway. Ricky Allen not going to give up on it, though, because there's a lot at stake, as you say, Steve. That is the bump spot to get into the feature. But right now, Bobby Marshall has moved out a little bit as Doug Wolfgang now holds a solid lead and should be able to hold on to it based on the quality of machinery that he's got and the level of driving skill and experience he's got. He should be able to hold on to win this thing. As Randy Wolf still challenges, this is the final lap. So it's now or never for Randy Wolf as they come down off turn 4, but Wolfgang will hold on to take that victory by a car length. And here comes the 4th place winner, Bobby Marshall, squeezing out Ricky Allen in a very, very good race. So Bobby Marshall advances from the C feature to the B feature and makes his way into the main event. Good show for Bobby Marshall. And, of course, Doug Wolfgang, the winner here in the B feature. He'll also go into the main event.
And they better look out for the Wolf in the main event, Brock, because he'll be starting a ways back. But, man, with that combination, he's liable to move up quickly. So Wolfgang, Randy Wolf, Terry Moore, Bobby Marshall all go into the main event. And we're going to see that main event when we come back to Mesquite, Texas.
Do you have a question about your favorite Nashville Network shows or stars? Maybe you've wondered if you could attend some of our Nashville Network shows in person. Whatever your question, we'd like to try to help. And if you have any suggestions or comments about TNN you'd like to share, please write to us, care of TNN Information Services, the Nashville Network, 2806 Opryland Drive, Nashville, Tennessee, 37214. We'd be delighted to hear from you.
You've chosen Nashville for your next vacation. Now, to make sure you get the most out of that vacation, choose this as your headquarters, the magnificent Opryland Hotel. There's not another like it in Nashville or the world. Consider its location, right next door to the revered Grand Ole Opry, the musical show park of America, Opryland, and the exciting Nashville Network production facilities. And you can catch a Grand Ole Opry tour to all of Nashville's many attractions. But there's plenty to do under the hotel's own roof, with 9 fascinating restaurants and lounges. And speaking of roofs, the one over the hotel's spectacular new conservatory is 2 acres in size and all glass. Let your eyes follow the stunning 7-story fountain down to the lush tropical garden below. The conservatory and the Opryland Hotel make up a Nashville attraction in themselves. Make your Nashville vacation something special by starting each day at the Opryland Hotel. For reservations, call 615-889-1000.
It's showdown time at Devil's Bowl Speedway. 24 of the toughest outlaws lined up, ready to go in the feature race. Let's go to Steve Evans with the pole sitter.
For the main event here at Devil's Bowl, the front 3 rows are inverted. And on the outside, really on the pole, is Tim Green of Sacramento, California. Tim, you got the quicker cars behind you. You need to get as big a lead as you can early.
Well, I don't know how much quicker that they are than I am. I just felt pretty good in the heat race. The car's working really well. You know, my crew chief, Daryl, he does a really good job for me. The motors are running good. 20 laps is not a real long time, so it's going to be kind of a deal to where you got to get the right setup on, because it is a sprint deal, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
How does a track like Devil's Bowl here in Texas compare to what you're used to at home in California?
It's a lot bigger. Most of the tracks in California are pretty much quarter miles, 3/8. The tracks are back here are a lot bigger, a lot faster. I like them a lot better.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Brock Yates.
Thanks, Steve. And starting on the outside of the front row, a pretty familiar face in this business, a man who got to be pretty happy with this outside front row start. Steve Kinzer?
Well, yeah, I got a pretty good starting spot by starting up front. Might have been a little better to get the inside. Coming off the bottom, it's a little quicker, but if we can get off and get ducked back in the second position or maybe in the lead or in the top 3, then we got 20 laps to work in. Hope it comes out there.
Steve, what about tires? A few guys have been blistering in them, and we get some pretty heavy tire wear. Is that abnormal, or do you expect starting with a fresh right rear you'll be okay?
Well, I think I got a right rear that's cured in a little bit. I think we'll be able to go the 20 laps here pretty easy, and I mean, it'll be take it down about all the way, but it'll make it.
Okay, well, good luck.
All right, thank you.
And now to the number 3 starter, Steve.
From Memphis, Tennessee is Jeff Swindell. And Jeff, we may have a high line for you here at main event time, huh?
Well, I don't know. It's got enough room to pass on it, really, if it'll hold out. Really just kind of try to follow them out and run behind them there for a little while and make sure we run in the top 4 today, and hopefully they'll slip up a little bit and we can get underneath them.
So pace yourself, stay out of trouble, and maybe take advantage of their misfortune.
That's about the way you need to do it here.
Okay, good luck to you.
Thank you a lot.
Okay, Brock.
Thank you, Steve. And on the outside of the second row, the man who won the first World of Outlaws race ever run here at Devil's Bowl, Bobby Davis. What do you think about your position, and what about that number 11 right up in front of you?
Well, I'd rather be on the front row. Second row's not too bad, and Steve and Tim's probably running real good. So we'll have to just sit back and watch and try to save our tires.
It looks like a bunch of guys that tried to get up around the outside on 2 to come off the corner high and pass, but not quite enough room up there to do it. It looks like the racetrack's turning out to be one where you got to pass low.
Yeah, if you can beat them getting in, you might beat them getting off, on the top, but right now it's around the bottom.
Everybody will tuck in low and try to keep people from passing you on the outside.
Yeah, that's single foul most of the time.
Well, good luck.
Okay, thank you.
And now to Steve inside row 3.
Confidently buckling up is 2-time Outlaw King Sammy Swindell in the red number 1 car. Sammy's the track record holder here at 15 seconds flat. We're not going to look for those kind of lap time today, I don't think, though, Sam.
Well, no, the racetrack will probably be a little quicker the last few laps of the race because as we run on, we're going to get more rubber on. It's going to get a little quicker. We were running some 15.8 laps, 15.7, on our heat, and you might see some down there close like we qualified last night, maybe some 15.3s or so, but that's going to be about as quick as it'll get today.
Okay, your brother Jeff, just in front of you, said that he's going to play it real cool and try to finish in the top 4, take advantage of maybe somebody else's problems.
Yeah, well...
Is he just telling me that?
Well, I don't know. It's going to be a real hard race to pass on. The racetrack is pretty narrow as far as the lanes that are quick right now. So you're just going to have to be right there, right behind somebody, and able to, be able to take care of, or just be right there when they make a mistake, where you can have the opportunity to pass them. But other than that, it's going to be pretty much follow everybody around and hope somebody slides out of the groove and you can go by them.
Okay, Sam. Good luck to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and what's the quickest qualifier of them all is Brock Yates.
Well, thank you, Steve. And with me is the man with quick time here. Last night, though, Bobby, in qualifying in totally different conditions than what you got right now, but still, you're carrying the reputation on the line. Doesn't mean a whole lot, though, right now, though, does it?
No, don't mean as much. It's better be starting up front.
Well, what are you going to do? You got some quick guys up front, but you got an outside start. Would you rather start outside or on the inside here?
Me, I'd rather start on the inside. I think it's a little bit better. The outside's since it's dry, it's slippery and got a little bit of marbles. And they'll usually go in and they slide them up. It's a little bit better to be on the inside. But so we're hoping when we start and get a spot to pull down.
Okay, well, I hope it works for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, that's the story up front. But at the back of the pack is another one. I'm talking about Bobby Marshall, who had to battle his way to the C and the B main events just to make it here. Brock talked to him after his B finish.
Bobby Marshall looks as if he's a happier man than he was a few minutes ago. 4th place in the B main and into the feature. Doing it the hard way, though. Good job.
Thank you. I wasn't sure a while ago. We gave it our best shot, though, and had a few crashes that helped us out.
Kind of squeezed your way up. We watched it, and but you moved through the field pretty good. And I think once you got into 4th, you were pretty happy. They're going to sit there, right?
Well, that's the name of the game, is just get in the feature and then try to do something. We were having trouble with we changed our setup, and the car was trying to turn over down the straightaways, and we corrected it a little bit on the red, but we still needed to do a little more now.
Can you got a chance to get it fixed?
Oh yeah, we'll be in there. Now we got to go up through that one.
Well, congratulations. Good job, Bobby.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Well, Brock, Bobby Marshall happy to just be starting even at the back. But Doug Wolfgang, he wasn't pleased at all getting ready for this main event.
He sure wasn't, Steve. He never had the race car so it worked properly through the qualifying heats or the B main. Even though he won it, he got right out of the car and went back to work on the chassis, trying to get it to handle better on this kind of oddly configured half mile. Wolfgang worked with the car literally until he climbed into it to get ready for the pace laps.
Well, Brock, you know that I'm not a wagering man, but if I was, it'd be awfully hard to bet against Steve Kinzer, number 11, with that front row position.
Well, it's an interesting point, Steve. Remember, all the guys we talked to are kind of philosophical about this turning into a one-groove track. Some of them hoped it might get a little rubber down so that they'd be able to pass, but I got a feeling that as we see the traditional four-abreast World of Outlaws pace lap unfolding here and the fans cheering as they come down the front straightaway, I've got a feeling that the guy who gets the jump on the green is going to be very, very tough to head as this race unfolds, and it could be Tim Green. He's on the pole. Let's remember that.
And of course, at the back, there's Doug Wolfgang with the talent and the horsepower to come to this field like a bowling ball. I'd hate to be the starter for this main event because there's some itchy trigger fingers here at Devil's Bowl. Stay with us. It could get wild.
Racing Update, brought to you by B.F. Goodrich, makers of TA high-tech radials.
Hello, racing fans. This is Dick Turner. All eyes are looking west as the battle for the NASCAR Winston Racing Series National Championship ends this weekend. David Intu of Hardyville, South Carolina, has a comfortable lead in the Southeast region. With more feature wins than any other competitor, David is ahead of the other four regional leaders. However, everyone is watching the Pacific Coast region as Ray Morgan of Watsonville, California, keeps chopping away at the points lead of Jim Pettit II of Seaside, California. Pettit has led all season, but Morgan is closing in and could become the national champion. Kenny Walton of Viola, Iowa leads the Central Region standings, with Sonny Feindling of Kirksville, Missouri in second place. In the Northeast region, Richie Evans of Rome, New York leads Jimmy Spencer of Berwick, Pennsylvania, and in the Mid-Atlantic region, it's Elton Sawyer over Ray Hendrick. Each regional champion will take $10,000 to the bank, thanks to the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company, with the rest of the top 10 in each region splitting $15,000. The national champion gets to lug another $15,000 home for his season's efforts. Dick Turner for Racing Update on TNN, the Nashville Network.
B.F. Goodrich TA high-tech radials. Update for enthusiasts. Subject, tire technology. Never before have ground effects prototype cars raced on tires of street radial construction. Think of the B.F. Goodrich prototype cars as 200-mile-an-hour laboratories, bringing you advanced radial tire technology today and tomorrow. Making race cars perform helps us make your car perform. B.F. Goodrich TA high-tech radials. We make cars perform.
Racing Update has been brought to you by B.F. Goodrich, makers of TA high-tech radials.
The rumble you hear is 24 fuel-burning 600 horsepower Chevy V8s lined up and ready in this World of Outlaws feature here at Devil's Bowl. They're coming down for the green. It's out. Steve Evans.
And it's the Californian Tim Green in orange, number 7, leading him into turn number 1. Yellow, number 11, that's Steve Kinzer in second spot. Then Bobby Davis Jr. And battling for fourth spot are the two brothers, Jeff and Sammy Swindell.
A great start by Tim Green, who just shot off the pole position and grabbed a good, strong lead in this opening lap from Steve Kinzer. But right behind Kinzer, Bobby Davis Jr. not giving an inch. So the two yellow cars, and then the two Swindell brothers, Jeff and older brother Sammy, back there charging for fourth place.
So 3 out of the top 4 are from the Memphis area.
They sure are. What a hotbed of sprint car racing. You see them come out of Memphis, out of the Pennsylvania area, out of the Midwest, and out of California. And right now, the California contingent's got themselves a leader. Tim Green, Sacramento, California, out front, the Midwestern champion and the all-time winner here in the World of Outlaws, Steve Kinzer, in second place, lifting a wheel as he comes off turn 2. But boy, Tim Green is just walking the field right now, Steve.
And I got a feeling that Steve Kinzer, number 11, has got that manually operated wing in full tilt downwards for all the traction he can get.
You're right, Steve. You can see this clay here at Devil's Ball getting that kind of black burnish look. That means it's getting almost as hard as asphalt. It's going to become a one-groove racetrack, very fast, as Sammy Swindell said, but also very, very difficult to pass on.
Well, you see the smoke now coming off of virtually all the leaders off that right rear tire. So like you say, it's a blue groove track.
It sure is, and it's got everybody just hoping that that right rear rubber that they've got on there does last, but because, boy, it's just like a drag race coming off those corners. Those are 600-plus horsepower engines in these automobiles. They weigh about 1,500 pounds going to the line with the driver on board, so that's a monster power-to-weight ratio.
Good race, shaping up for the second position as Bobby Davis Jr. in yellow 18, smoking that rear tire, tries to close up on second place driver Steve Kinzer, also the yellow car.
A good race back there for second place as Tim Green is not really moving out that much farther. In fact, it looks like Steve Kinzer might be nosing in a little bit on the leader.
He is indeed, Brock. He's got him a car length in the last 2 laps.
So Tim Green leads it. Steve Kinzer right back there in second place. Bobby Davis Jr. in third, and a whole bunch of contenders back there behind him as now Tim Green starts to move into the slower traffic and pick up some lap cars.
As the 2A car of Richard Lupo slows Tim Green down a bit, it allows Kinzer to close up. So the lap cars are going to make this very interesting.
They sure are, Steve. It's a one-groove racetrack, and that means a lot of strategies involved trying to get by the slower fellas like Richard Lupo, who's trying to run his own race. And right now, Steve Kinzer gets underneath Richard Lupo. Right behind him, Bobby Davis gets by, so he's clear. Here are the two Swindell brothers. Jeff in the white number 80, champion number 1 car, Sammy Swindell, older brother, trying to get underneath brother Jeff, but not to be done in this lap.
What confidence they have in each other, both to pitch them sideways at the same time, because if one didn't, he'd drive right to the other.
Good race for 4th place between the Swindell brothers. Formation flying by these two ace sprint car drivers from the Memphis, Tennessee area as we watch them. Look at that driving as they too move up on Richard Lupo and try to stay within striking distance of leader Tim Green.
Just incredible racing. Is ballet too sissy a word to use to describe this?
Well, they might not agree with you, but boy, it's just beautiful as finally Sammy gets by brother Jeff and moves into the 3rd spot.
And here's the race for the lead. Tim Green in orange number 7. He drives right up on a slower car. That's going to be a big break for Steve Kinzer, who tries to get down low, and Green somehow hangs on to the lead. This man from Sacramento can drive a race car.
He sure can. All kinds of poise as he just threaded his way through those slower automobiles. Didn't hardly lift, didn't miss a beat. Steve Kinzer also ran right through that little gaggle of automobiles to hang right on Tim Green's tail. Beautiful driving. Every time we see one of these World of Outlaws shows, we're just blown away by the driving skill of these front runners.
Brock, we got a car spinning right here. That is 3K Kenny Schrader, and it may bring out the yellow flag.
Well, Kenny just kept his foot in it and kept on going. I doubt that they'll bring it out. They may, but Kenny Schrader sure saved it. A piece of beautiful 360-degree driving to save that automobile.
And all of the leaders managed to get through unscathed. The Schrader gets a big hand for the crowd. Now let's watch again. Look towards the outside of your screen. Here comes Schrader. He's in trouble right now.
Just gets it up in the marbles there and loops the automobile. He got way up high, a little bit out of the groove, but here he's full backwards, so now he just cranks the wheel around and spikes the throttle and doesn't lose the power and keeps right on going. It's possible, as I said, that the starter might not have even seen that incident. It was so quick and cleanly done, but in fact he did, and he said, well, wait a minute, let's gather things up, guys. We're going to throw the yellow and get everybody back into formation.
Well, on any track that had had a wall around it, as we look at Kenny Schrader, obviously you'd have had a yellow because you'd had Schrader into the fence.
Right, but here at Devil's Ball, no fence and no foul, so he's in good shape. Tim Green leads it. Steve Kinzer still in that runner-up spot, looking for a place to get by Tim Green. And here's the opportunity as the green comes out again. Can Kinzer do it?
It is Tim Green, the orange number 7. Looked just like the start originally, didn't it? Look at this battle here for third. Bobby Davis Jr., yellow 18, and Swindell got together, but now finally Davis gets away from him.
But right now, Tim Green has it all his own way. The car's hooked up perfectly. Steve Kinzer just doesn't seem to be able to put a dent on that lead as we watch Bobby Davis Jr. and Sammy Swindell move up on Randy Wolf, a lap car. That's the race for third place, and a terrific one it is. Sammy Swindell just doesn't seem to be able to get up on Bobby Davis, though. He tries him low right now, but can't make it work.
Few forms of motor racing, Brock, demand the hand and foot coordination of sprint car racing. You're turning one way to go another.
You sure are, and you've got 600 plus horsepower that's just trying to walk right out from underneath you, especially on a very slick racetrack like we've got here at Devil's Bowl. But Sammy Swindell just can't get by as we watch Tim Green come down unchallenged down the front straightaway.
Well, the story, as far as the leaders are concerned, it's 7-11. Tim Green in the 7 car, Steve Kinzer in the 11 car, and if you ever played craps, Brock, both those numbers can be winners.
Well, right now, Tim Green's rolling 7s because that orange automobile just can't be beaten. He's out front and opening on Steve Kinzer. And I'll tell you what, as the white flag comes out, you open up on a man like Steve Kinzer on a half-mile dirt track in any kind of an automobile, and you're doing something.
Well, Bobby Davis Jr. and Sammy Swindell are starting to pick up Kinzer. We could get a last lap fight for that second position.
It's possible, Steve, but right now, Tim Green takes the checker. Too late for Bobby Davis Jr. Steve Kinzer comes home second. Davis third, with Sammy Swindell back in the 4th spot.
Well, with the tire smoke coming off those right rears, it looked like one long burnout. I can't believe anybody's got any air left in that right rear. Tim Green wins the main event here today at Devil's Bowl. We'll be back to talk with him right after this.
Dodge announces the toughest truck warranty in America. 5 years or 50,000 miles. Covering transmissions, drive shafts, blocks, heads, flywheels, transfer cases, axles, U-joints, water pumps, all internal engine parts, and outer body rust through on every truck we build. Ford and Chevy talk tough. Dodge proves it. Dodge, the best back trucks in America. That's guaranteed.
Shotgun Rapids, Idaho, and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. The shotgun means white water at its best. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp, Old Milwaukee beer. And smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
And Old Milwaukee.
And Old Milwaukee Light.
Taste as great as their name.
You know, guys, it doesn't get any better than this.
Out for a day just chasing the sun, or doing the work that's got to be done, or riding a race that's got to be won. Kawasaki. Now with a choice of 3-wheelers that offer low prices, high performance, and about everything in between. And for one more wheel of a time, check out the all-new Bayou 4-wheeler. Get the best of both worlds at your Kawasaki dealer.
Homecoming is on TNN. Sunday night, Hoyt Axon goes char fishing at Lake Tahoe on Country Sportsman. See how race cars are put together on Performance Plus. Then you'll hear Buddy Baker's personal views on great drivers. And Charlie Daniels is spotlighted on Bobby Bear and Friends. Then Walt Adams brings you Music City sights on Wraparound Nashville. Later, it's Waylon Jennings joining modern-day ranch hands on My Heroes Have Always Been Cowboys. It all happens Sunday night on TNN, the Nashville Network.
Well, it was 20 laps of just pure domination for this man, Tim Green, as he bested Steve Kinzer, Bobby Davis Jr., and Sammy Swindell here in the feature at Devil's Bowl. And down on the front straightaway with him is Steve Evans.
So Tim Green comes in from California, sporting a fine reputation among the Outlaws. He's run with them before, but today he owned them. You are the king on this particular day at Devil's Bowl. Great drive.
Oh, I got to give a lot of credit to Daryl Socher, my mechanic, Keating, Emery Weisenbaker. They own the car, and their people are great. You know, and without them, guys like me wouldn't be standing here with the, you know, and the fans, and Ted Johnson and his organization. You know, they just do a really tremendous job, and I'm really happy. And I'd also like to thank Ronnie Shavers, because he builds, I think, one of the finest race car motors in the country.
He had some horsepower today. You couldn't see Steve Kinzer, but we could. He was in second place.
Think he won.
Did you? And he wasn't gaining on you a bit. Not on the straightaways, not in the turns, no place on the racetrack.
Well, you know, one of those deals you get the right combination on, and like I was told you, talked about a little bit earlier about the car. We just tried something different in the heat race, and it worked out good for us in the feature. The one time I did see him was on the lap traffic over here, in which you got to kind of be careful on lap traffic here. It's kind of a tough deal, but I'm real happy. The car's working really well. I'm looking forward to a great year with World Outlaws.
You're going to run all season with him?
I hope so, yeah. If things keep going like we are, I'm sure we'll be, right up in there, so I'm really looking forward to it.
You got their attention today. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Tim Green wins the main event at Devil's Bowl.
And our congratulations to Tim Green for a fine drive, besting a terrific field. Steve Kinzer, second place, Bobby Davis Jr. in third, and the Swindell brothers come home in fourth and fifth. Tim Green takes home $2,000 for a very well-deserved victory. And Bobby Marshall, who tried so hard all afternoon, ended up in 19th place in the feature. I'm Brock Yates, along with Steve Evans and Ed Bruce. Thanks for being with us here at Devil's Bowl.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is Harvey M. Palish. Produced and directed by John B. Mullen. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by the Style Auto World Championship Team, the nation's premier source of fast lane fashion. Style Auto, the champion's choice for the style of your life.